Cheers, guys. Epics 911, welcome to the Saturday, March 25th, 2017 edition of VR News. A little slow on the news front. I've got a bit of a longer than normal intro, so probably a good time to remind those of you who, or let those of you who are new to the channel know, and remind people who may not read the descriptions that I put timestamps for every single topic I talk about, so you can go over the ones you want and ignore the ones you don't want. Or when I talk, about VR indirectly and blabber on about something more anecdotal or kind of in my personal life, you don't have to sit through it because you don't give a rat's arse. And I totally get that, and that's exactly why I do it. All right, with all of that answered, let's get into it, guys. Starting with Rock Band VR. So Rock Band had kind of, along with Guitar Hero, swept into the market, created quite a bit of a craze. These plastic instruments were flying off the shelves in those middle 2000s. And my family kind of joined the party a little bit late. My daughter was in her early teens, but we thought it would be a fun family game. We love doing board games together, video games, Mario Kart, that type of thing. Thought this would be cool. And it was. But eventually, the novelty wears off. The instruments, like the cardio equipment and some of your HMDs, inevitably start gathering dust. So yeah, that was what happened. And then you don't give it a thought anymore. It's a novelty that goes away and gets lost in time until Rock Band VR rears its head. Those of us who have Oculus Touch have the adapter for the Touch for Rock Band. Well, word's coming out that the game is pretty good compared to its predecessors, but most importantly, it seems to take advantage of the virtual reality format, the technology itself. So they tweaked some things to be able to do that. So you don't have, I think there's a classic mode I remember reading. You can play it the classic way, but the new way is it wants you to be more creative as opposed to just having notes stream by at increasingly faster speeds. You're expected to do creative combos, and that's what you get scored on. That's what you advance with. And it improves your audience reaction. So yeah, very cool. Is it something that I'm going to get? And look, if any of the instruments I have are compatible, I may get it. If not, probably not. Or at least I'll wait a little while. But if I do, I will absolutely make a quick look of it. So yeah, that is Rock Band VR. Last question, if there's any of you out there, let me know if you enjoy it or dislike it. Love to hear from you. Next story, Nomadic wanting to bring VR to your local movie theater or VR arcade or other theme park style venue. What I love about this technology, guys, and I probably got a video playing here that's going to show the process. But what Nomadic does is they have a set arena size or floor space size, call it whatever you will. Around that, they have lighting, tracking, infrared cameras. They got a bunch of stuff. Inside, they build a set that ties in directly with the game experience the person is viewing with their HMD. Here's where it gets brilliant and just freaking cool, and I'm amazed we hadn't thought about this, right? What they do is, using a modular building system, they build the parts of the set in the game experience that you come into contact with, that you could come into contact with. So if you're on the sidelines without an HMD and you're looking in at the floor space, it's going to look weird, like it's unfinished. And that's intentional because it only needs to have the objects you can interact with. The cool thing about that is, imagine you see a door, you walk to that door, you reach out and you touch the door, and there's an actual handle there that can turn, and a door that opens in sync with everything you're seeing through your HMD. I just think that's bloody brilliant and super creative. Now, does it limit you somewhat? Absolutely. But think about it, cockpit style games, and I know people have done that, right? Have a Elite or Project Cars real life layout that feels and looks in some cases like the real McCoy in game. But this takes it up a few notches. So very freaking cool. Check that out at the link below. Next up, bit of a somber story for me anyways, and maybe some of you as well. And it's also not directly VR related, but it does have a VR tie-in, so I'm going to talk about it. And that is the retirement announcement that Brian Fargo made. Now, Brian Fargo is the CEO of InXile, a company that he formed in 2002 when he, and he jokingly talks about this, was in exile. So he had been running a company called Interplay that he founded a long time ago in the 80s, Interplay Productions, and they were known for making kick-ass RPG games, some of the best in the business. Bard's Tale, Wasteland, Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and a bunch of others. They made damn good games. Well, a lot of stuff happened. They got bought out. He left, formed InXile, and then a few years ago started making real good RPGs again through Kickstarter. Traditional, awesome as hell. That's where my Wasteland 2 poster behind me comes from the collector's edition that I backed on Kickstarter. Yeah, just that classic feeling, but updated for now. They have a game called The Mage's Tale, which is the VR game. That's the VR tie-in, and it looks to be amazing. So when that and Wasteland 3 are delivered by 2019, he's going to exit stage left. And he will definitely be missed. He was amazing, and it was an easy Kickstarter for me to back because I knew he'd come through because he has the experience and the passion, and that is a deadly combo. Brian, absolutely you will be missed, buddy. Cheers. All right, this next story comes from a very obscured WJLA, and one of you may be living there. I'm thinking it's ABC channel in Los Angeles, but I could be wrong. Anyways, they had a story about books coming to life with virtual reality. So it was this kind of vague headline. I was wondering what it was, read through, very cool. So the fella in the story, his name is Steve Buckley, and he is from Rockville, Maryland. He used to supply virtual reality to the military, the US military, through a defense contract, and then authored children's books, almost 100. Then he got an idea, what if I combine the two? So with a UK tech company, he formed a company called Bangarang Books, and apparently they had some funding, some of it failed, and they had other investors, and now they're on. And they've got a format. So what they're offering is a way for you to enjoy a book you read maybe with one of your kids, right? I did that with my daughter, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Dragonlance books, all that kind of stuff. And it was always awesome, right? Fun time. Well, what they're doing is called InkMotion. That's the app. The books that they have tie into that app. And there's 3 methods of interaction. There's peek and pop, which are kind of augmented. So through a smartphone or a tablet, you're going to get video or atmospheric stuff relating to what you're reading. The third feature is called Go. And Go is the VR component. So if you've got an HMD on, your kid experience what you're reading. So imagine if it's a fantasy book. You're reading about, let's take Lord of the Rings, right? And you're in the lava area there where the ring ultimately was to be destroyed, right? You would experience that. So freaking cool. I just think that is awesome. And I really hope these guys do well. And it's not one of those things that, is patented. I mean, I want them to be protected for innovation, but wouldn't it be cool if that took off and became just a thing, right? So you could have an audio book that also has a VR tie-in. I just think that lots of potential there. Very cool. Next story, also the last one, guys. Robinson the Journey's executive producer is departing Crytek. Now, his name is Elijah Freeman, and he had been working on Robinson the Journey as an executive producer. Game design as well was offered. 4 months ago they launched, and now he's leaving. And apparently he is leaving for Virtuos. They are a game and asset production studio. So they do asset creation for Assassin's Creed and a bunch of other games. They've got a pretty good reference list of clients that they interact with. And yeah, they're out of Shanghai, so he's going to relocate there. Now, in addition to Crytek, he also worked at Electronic Arts and CCP games during his development career. So yeah, I guess cool for him, but troubling from a VR point of view, because he probably saw the writing on the wall. Crytek is hemorrhaging. They are not doing well right now, and they've closed down several production studios. I believe it was 4. And they want to try to ensure the company stays healthy. Unfortunately, when it gets that desperate, they start slashing and cutting costs and studios. The problem with that is you lose a hell of a lot of talent. The very talent that under other circumstances could probably help you get out of your predicament, right? So yeah, and 15 employees recently in Frankfurt at their headquarters were laid off. So yeah, I understand his reason for moving, absolutely. And, wish him the best, but also hope Crytek can overcome, because, I wasn't a huge fan of The Climb, but it was a very good piece of software at a time when there weren't a lot of strong graphical options. It gave people one. And then with touch support, took it to a whole nother level. All right, guys, that is it for the news tonight on this Saturday. Resident Evil, like I said, still awaits. And some arcade game playing and VR, I think. Cheers, guys.